Local film, or more broadly local media, is telling the nuanced stories that need to be seen and heard. The reality is that although these stories are being told, they are seldom listened to. Using the Appalachian Mountain region to exemplify this case, I argue that these stories are being told locally and that they, along with others, both need and deserve to be heard. Maybe even more so than standard Hollywood releases. So let's get into it. The hillbilly, according to the Oxford Dictionary, is an unsophisticated country person associated originally with the remote regions of the Appalachians. According to Don Baker in the 1983 Appalachia film, Strangers in Kin, the key theme here is that by defining hillbillies this way,
it became much easier to carry progress forward if you could say that the people that were getting hurt by progress were worthless people to begin with.
This dates at least as far back as the 1890s, although its exact origin is debated, with widespread recognition coming in the 1960s and 70s boom of Hicksploitation television like the Beverly Hillbillies. Then, the film Deliverance turned Hicksploitation to demonization. Deliverance, by British director John Boorman, reinforced and perpetuated the negative stereotypes that hillbillies are uneducated and inbred. But it also seared in the popular media the idea that people from Appalachia are also sinister, with a penchant for committing heinous crimes such as rape and murder. Which brings us here, to now, to today, where Hicksploitation continues in film and is ingrained in modern comedy and other media. The reality is that the hillbilly stereotype, now with close to 100 years in mainstream media, degrades the people of the Appalachian region and only serves to undermine people from a region already facing some of the worst economic and social conditions in the United States. Many people often feel ashamed or disheartened to see places like where they live and where they grew up diminished and made fun of. Folks like West Virginia native Elaine Sheldon, who has created local films that push back against negative stereotypes and images of mountain people, recounts,
anytime I saw my region depicted on radio or television or in magazines, it was embarrassing. And I never thought I would come back, but here I am, and I love this region, and I see a future for this region.
Or actor Jeff Kaiser from the Appalachia film Strangers in Kin, who says,
"Well, I used to think that if it'd been my family that they'd put in that magazine, that I probably would have never come back out of the holler or somewhere, you know. I would have quit school probably. I would have been real upset. It would have been a definite change in my way of thinking."
These testimonials reflect the struggles of many who grow up witnessing the shameful, prejudiced, and inaccurate media depictions of Appalachia. And to be honest, I have my doubts that these damaging stereotypes will disappear anytime soon. The modern landscape still reflects these tropes and shallow ideas, seen here with Jimmy Fallon as recently as July 2024.
That's right, it's Tequila Day and Cousins Day, or as it's known in West Virginia, Valentine's Day.
Or demonstrated with Vice President-elect J.D. Vance's book and its film adaptation Hillbilly Elegy, which plays up unnuanced negative stereotypes in service to a hero's narrative about overcoming them. Given the nonstop challenge to a real depiction of Appalachians, local media is and must continue to push back with far more real narratives. As Martin Johnson points out in Chapter 8 of his book, Main Street Movies, archival footage of local films is now being used as historical evidence of a past time. Johnson suggests that we preserve these films because they serve a greater purpose when placed in historical contexts, or even new contexts like that of video essays. This is especially true here in the Appalachian South. For example, some years ago I was in a local film that told a real story about my hometown in Jonesboro, Tennessee. This footage is now lost in a few randomly scattered DVDs in local closets and attics. This film, which tells a real tale, is simply ignored and subsequently forgotten. While relatively insignificant in scope here, films like these are scattered across the Appalachians and are yet unseen by broader audiences. Films that are meant to tell real stories simply don't gain the popularity of those that push viewers toward negative, one-dimensional, cliched stereotypes. And so it is here that I make my case that audiences should seek local films, or even short videos like the one I was in, to reject the false and tired stereotypes perpetuated in mainstream media. The good news is that the process of using local voices and local stories is starting to hit the mainstream. Works like the film King Cole, the miniseries Dope Sick, and the novel Demon Copperhead have all won major awards and relied on local stories in the process. And Appalachia is a nationally known arts organization based in Southeast Kentucky that continues to provide a forum for local folks to tell their stories on a much bigger stage. And of course, the pressure is not all on audiences to choose different content. Simply approaching the media with a keen eye on the stories that are being told can make a huge difference. And recommending a film like King Cole, rather than Deliverance, can slowly begin to shift the tectonic plates that support long-lasting negative stereotypes. And the truth is, this applies far beyond the Appalachian region. Many locales, cultures, and groups of people are pigeonholed by the broad brushstrokes used in major cinema. Intentionally seeking out and consuming a variety of media from many different sources can give rise to a much more nuanced understanding of others. So go out and watch the films, search the archives, and enjoy the powerful stories that are told. And if you're making these films, or even just as you're telling stories about yourself, about your friends, or your family, or where you come from, I leave you with this quote from Harlan, Kentucky resident and Kingsport, Tennessee native, the novelist and playwright Robert Geip, who advises us to focus on the truth of the story you want to tell, the beauty of the song you want to sing. Celebrate what you are. Recognize your own goodness, greatness, and listen to the voices of the people who also appreciate what you're doing, since they're easily drowned out.